question?
Hey there. Before I ask that question, I just want to let you know that.
Louder.
She said before she asked this question, very dramatic.
I just want to let you know that I don't care what anyone says, you are the man.
Oh,
I didn't get a chance to. But my question is that I noticed that in your movies, a lot of things aren't an accident. Everything has a meaning. Everything you do has a purpose. And I noticed that most of your movies carry a certain atmosphere, and which makes your movies very distinctive, and that's really cool. But I was just wondering, is that something you need to do, or is that just like movie magic?
Well, for me, how I define, good question, but how I define a director is by their control of tone. So, we'll see a movie that we love and we enjoyed and all that stuff, but it didn't have a strong sense of tone, and for me, that's the director's job. So Kubrick for me has one of the strongest senses of tone and control over his point of view. He sees the world the way he sees the world. Everything about it smells like a Kubrick movie. I love that. I close my eyes and I know everything I want to know about him. I know by the control of the tone. And I hear something in my head, a tone, and I'm chasing it the whole time. This particular tone. So it's very calculated. It's super calculated. The whole thing, how they're again, we're just randomly talking about the bench press scene, right? The way they were both acting, that's the tone that I saw in the scene. It could easily go on broad comedy, very like that, But so I did the broad comedy very quietly, like they were both frightened about what was happening. So you cut to the kid and he's in the closet, like half in the closet. And you get the giggle and the laugh from that, but they're all playing it like they're nervous. They don't want. It's like fragile. Don't move too fast, or this moment's gonna go away. That's how I directed them. But you hear a very specific tone, and the filmmakers that have that kind of the Coen brothers and Wes Anderson, and they just hear a tone, and that's how they hear that. They're not. It's not necessarily naturalistic, but it's the way we kind of see things.
You're not doing anything wrong.
Oh, thank you very much. That's my sister, by the way.
If you've written the script, you've got a pretty good idea of that tone. You've storyboarded it. How much discovery then of tone is there on the set? Or it's pretty much now just capturing what you've seen in your mind, put down on page, given to the actors?
Yeah, I mean, it's very specific. I mean, I feel two states of mind. I feel pain and no pain. Those are the two states of mind, and I feel pain when I don't have the tone right. When and it's just, I think it's an art. All artists I think have that kind of thing. Like if I drive by a house and I drive by a lot of houses that like a development house or something, and I see that it's inorganic, like the windows in the wrong place, that someone didn't care what the back of the house looked like. It just like hurts. I'm like, drive by quick, don't look. And the same feeling with it, when I'm seeing a shot, something's wrong. What is it? Why is it feeling this way? And until if you have enough time to study it, I can stare at a piece of paper as long as I need to, but on a set where it costs so much, you want to know those answers. And you would think that somebody, Bruce Willis or whoever, some star would say, yeah, I don't want to sit down in this scene. I want to stand up. And then I'm totally screwed, right? Because I did the over the shoulder of the nurse and the zoom in really slow. It hasn't happened once on all these movies, because I go, hey Bruce, we're going to do this scene over the nurse, and what I'm doing is the zoom is representing your realization, so I won't be starting the zoom until when I see it in your eyes. You can choose whenever you want, but that's what I'm saying. And you get super still. I mean, I generally go still, so it causes the actors to kind of do it here and not do crutches like oh, I have an idea. And so it's more about aiming for a tone. We're all aiming, and I'll tell everybody at the beginning. I'll read the storyboards and walk, and go through the whole movie for everybody, and then everyone starts to get where I'm going, and I usually say at the end of that meeting, this is the worst movie can be. That's the great news.
Question in the back, first row in the back in the center.
How do you choose what character in your movies to be?
Oh, well, did you guys hear that question?
Yeah.
Did you hear my question? He said, how do you choose what role in the movies to be? And that has changed, because as because if people know me, are recognizing me, that becomes much more difficult to do. And at that time, nobody really knew me. And it's, again, Sixth Sense had just come out in that year, and the publicity of like that the selling a movie on a filmmaker hadn't really happened yet, and hadn't happened for a long time in cinema, and it hadn't really started yet. It was starting to happen after Unbreakable, but at that time, no one really recognized. So I could have been anything in that movie. And in Signs was probably the last time I could have almost freely picked the scene. And that was kind of the dead center of the movie, and it was kind of the guy that gives the information that nobody believes and then moves on. After that, it gets much more difficult because you get pulled out, because now there's a pop culture reference, whereas before it was just another person, and now there's a pop culture reference in the movie, and then everybody's, oh, there he is. There's that Indian guy, there he is. Yeah, but literally, you hear like everyone starts whispering, and I started seeing that happen. You go, well, you want to go earlier in the movie is the hope, as early as you can. Then it becomes like, but for me, I never wanted it to be like the guy getting off the bus going, I wanted to contribute, and I wanted to, tell a story, part of the story with the performance, but it's very, very difficult. I mean, on top of the fact that, like I can't play Dustin Hoffman's son, I gotta, on top of the whole Indian thing, you got the whole fame thing, and it's like, it's difficult. So, it's tricky. I would love to do something meaningful and be, not distracting from the movie. It's hard to figure out. I try to just write the movies now and see whatever happens, and if one day there's a good part, that would be great. Well, this is a little girl here. Let's get to shoes.
What inspired you to make these movies?
She said, what inspired me to make these movies? Well, how old are you? She said she's 9. So around your age, around 9, I took my dad's 8mm camera from his closet without telling him. Don't ever do that. and I made, at that time, which I thought was incredibly clever, Friday the 13th Part 5. I was like, as if they make 5 of these. Literally, that was it. And the whole thing would catch up, and someone in the forest, and someone stalking them, and all that stuff. And it was 3 minutes long, and, cut it, put it together once it came back from the lab. And that was the beginning. And then video cameras just came out at that time. So, and they were huge, they were big things, and they had a cord, and you had to put them in the VCR. So we had to carry the VCR around, and the cord, and the camera, like that. And so I shot a lot of movies with my friends from the neighborhood. Just, again, I wasn't big on writing at that time. That was so tiring. So why do we need to write? Let's just, this is the idea. Someone's kidnapped and blah blah blah. And, at that time, you goof around a lot. I remember mine. They're awful. I mean, sometimes I put them on the DVDs just for fun. You guys probably have seen some of them. I put them on in the extras and all. But they're absolutely terrible. They show zero talent. Zero. I mean, really, someone should sat me down and said, this is definitely not what you should be doing. I think my dad, when he saw them, was like, you're gonna be a doctor, right?